Most healthy eating advice sounds great until real life gets in the way. We've all heard about meal prepping, eating whole foods, or avoiding processed foods. But knowing what's healthy doesn't always translate into habits that stick. Why? Because there's a difference between practical, which is knowing what to do, and being pragmatic, which is fitting that into our actual messy everyday life. So today we're going to go beyond generic tips to explore why a pragmatic, personalized approach is the overlooked key to lasting healthy eating. Because real life solutions aren't a one size fits all, they're uniquely yours. And I think that's so key that it's not a one size fits all. So, Dr. Teplow, how do we distinguish between what's practical, knowing what we want to do, and what's pragmatic, and how do we actually put it into our everyday life?
I love that question. And it is key. It just don't go past, the first step unless you have a handle on answering that question. And I'd say to make it really easy to understand the difference between what's practical and pragmatic is also to think of what works and what fits, because you can have a lot of things that are very practical, like for busy parents, well, just cook up a batch of mac and cheese and, veggie soup on Sundays and freeze it and drag it out. That sounds really practical. And that could work, but does it fit for you if you're the particular busy parent? So there are lots of things that work. And there's so many tips that you can find from books, internet, whatever. They all, I'm not going to say they all work, but they all work for someone in some context at some time. But that doesn't mean that they fit. So delivering the results isn't enough. Does it deliver the results for you in your context?
So, what's interesting that with that point is that we have so much advice, and sometimes there's conflicting about what we should be doing. Then even for me, I work really hard. I have an app that tracks things. It's a great app. You take a picture of it and tells you what the macros are and how your calories and fat are. And when I'm tired at the end of the day, even as much, I have a meal plan on my refrigerator, what I'm going to have for the week, every day. So I try to do as many things as possible. But maybe it's Tuesday I got home and now I'm tired and I don't feel like baking that salmon or doing whatever the item is, and I want a pizza. So it just throws off what I was doing. But is that being pragmatic or being practical?
Right. So I think the question is, let's go back to what works and what fits for you.
What works, what fits.
So yeah, what works. So it's just not, it's practical to have your meal plan. But when you get down to, am I being pragmatic? Am I looking at the context in which the context of my life and saying, oh, well, I might have planned this menu. It makes perfect sense. It's practical. It's doable, SMART goals, etc.
Yeah.
But then in the reality, well, yeah, but sometimes I do come home really tired or, I'm just not into it. So then what? You got to be pragmatic. What works and fits for you at that moment. And it doesn't mean go out and have the pizza. It could, but then you think, what do I really want and what difference will it make? And what kind of person, who's the person I want to be? I want to be the healthy person because I want to do all the things that engage me, that enable me to contribute and give back or whatever it is. So then you think, okay, and in what context does that pizza fit? Well, it doesn't fit very well. Okay, so what are you going to do instead? Then you could say, well, it's pragmatics. Open a can of beans or, whatever it is. Or it's, I really want a pizza and I value my health. I'm going to have a small slice.
Yeah, I think that's really it's interesting, isn't it? Not beating myself up, not someone beating yourself up because they had that pizza, but then say, oh, well, how can I still have that indulgence because I'm tired and that's easy and not even more. One of the things I think I love about our solution focused approach with our clients, and this is an example I like to give all the time, and when they come back to us, and so many of our clients are working on healthy eating because it's so fundamental, that we have so much food in our food system that leads us to having struggle with high sugar content. And so we try to go in the right healthy direction and we want to be that. And so many of our clients do that. Then, like I said, as much as I'm focused on it, I'm tired and want to have that pizza. Or they say, I had a half a pint of ice cream, and so how do we coach around that when they come to us and say, I had I can say, okay, I had 3 pieces of pizza, and or I had have a pint of ice cream. Now I feel bad about it because I didn't live up to this ideal value that I want to live in.
Yeah, well, I like to tease people and say, I'm sorry to tell you, you're not all that special. Everybody struggles with that, and everybody does that. We're human. So the first point is to have compassion for yourself and to recognize that that's human. It's normal to have these ups and downs. And I think it's really important also to take it in the context of all of your eating. The app that measures everything, every moment, every bite really reminds me of a friend who was anorexic. And she played with being between 92 pounds and 94 pounds. Oh, she was 5'7". And her doctor said, if you get below 92, I'll hospitalize you. And she checked in with the doctor every week. And so it was always that playing with, is this bite, literally this bite, how many calories, etc. We get that. It makes us crazy. It's not healthy. It causes a lot of stress, a lot of shame, etc. So what do you do instead is take it in the context, have as a healthy a diet as you can overall, plan for having some fun and manage the fun so that you maximize it. So don't sit in front of the TV or whatever, scooping the ice cream. Put the ice cream in a bowl that you really like with a spoon that feels good in your hand because of the balance or whatever, and savor it. Really
Mm-hmm.
enjoy it. I think that's to be mindful and to be present, and open to the experience of the pleasure. One is maximize it.
And I love that one too. And I do have a rule with my pizza. You can see pizza is one of my challenges. I do have a rule with my pizza. Is like, okay, I'm not going to get a cheap frozen pizza. If I'm going to have that pizza, I'm going to get. There's a really great pizza restaurant that sells by the slice. It's only a few blocks away. That I want to get this really nice, great slice of pizza. If I'm going to have that indulgence.
Exactly. It's funny because I say, why waste your calories on junk food when you could use it for something, really, I'm not saying healthy, I'm just saying yummy, just as you did. Go for the really good slice of pizza. And there's a front to back, there are two sides to every story. The other side is don't beat yourself up for not, steaming your organic kale or whatever. If you're tired and you got to eat veggies and you like veggies good enough, then get frozen. It's still good enough. And that's the thing. I think it's the difference between practical and pragmatic. Be pragmatic. Do what works within the context of your life at the moment, and do as it's got to work. Do you need veggies? Yes. Does it fit to open a can of, open a can of something, or, freeze frozen? Yes, that works. Good enough.
And also the things that we talk about with our clients is, when they come to us and say, like, I had that slice of pizza, or I had that half a pint of ice cream. One of the key questions that we always ask is, okay, well, why didn't I have 2 slices of pizza? Or why didn't you have the whole pint of ice
Right.
cream?
Yeah.
And
What kept you?
that just changes the whole dynamic of how you look at that. Maybe you failing and you went
You're
to,
right.
I mean, I'm tired and I failed. I didn't have the perfect diet because I went for that pizza. But why didn't I order 2 slices? Why did I only
Yeah.
order once? Yeah.
Yeah. What kept you from having 2 slices? What enabled you to eat just that one slice? What, how'd you decide it? And you can ask so many questions about it that will put you in touch with your capacity to take care of yourself in ways that do count. So, what enabled you to stop it, to exert that portion control? And I like to put it in the positive rather than why didn't you eat, but what enabled you to exert that kind of discipline, and start
Mhm.
naming and labeling the behaviors, because that primes you. It's wiring your brain. I did exert, control, or did do good portion control, or whatever it was, what enabled you to do it? How did you do it? Think of what did you do and how did you do it? Not just what, but how. So it's the process, because that's the step-by-step method you use. You can replicate it.
So what did I do, and then how did I do that?
Yeah.
So let's play again with what this pizza example that I have. You're actually you're coaching me in secretly on this podcast. So what did I do? Yeah, so I struggle here. Like, what did I do? What do you mean? What did I do? I only had one slice.
Okay,
Um,
so you wanted to go for pizza, and
yeah,
so you had that one slice. I'm wondering how you decided that one slice was just good enough for you.
yeah. Um, Yeah. So what did I do? I walked to the pizza parlor. So there was a distance to go there. Didn't call and order it. What else did I do? I know that they only serve by this. They serve by the slice, so that way you can order one and tell yourself, if I want a second one, the cash register's right there. I can order a second one. So knowing that it was still an option, but ordering just a single one. What else? Well, savoring what I was savoring the great. It's a bigger New York slice of pizza. So they are the pizza people are from they're Mets fans, so they're always playing New York Mets stuff there. So nice pizza. It's nice authentic New York pizza. So savoring that, and yeah, and then saying at the end of that one, do I want another one? I think I'm good. Because when you have the low energy or you're famished or whatever, you're like, okay, I need as much as I can. You're in that kind of starvation mode. So I think that kind of helped Jew as well.
Yeah, and what helps you savor it? What do you do? What do you do? How do you savor it?
Yeah. So I would say one of the things that it's got a nice little outdoor area. So going out and sitting in the outdoor area and looking at the it's nice and hot and looks really great. So savoring all the smells and the how nice it looks. So try to get more of your senses involved into it. The air around me, the atmosphere. Trying to get all those senses in there. Saying, oh, this is special. Even the walk there and the walk back is just nice too as well. So all that is part of the savoring, not just the actual eating of it. It's the whole ritual to go there. So trying to build that kind of experience into that indulgence.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think we talked about it another time, is just being out in nature helps, because and that's a very different experience. Imagine, that pizza in a small room, with, like, if you were in like a sound studio, let's say you're a sound engineer, you're in a sound studio eating your pizza, versus being in some place that's lovely, that's outdoors. It gives you a sense of the part of context, and there's a word, proportion, how big you are in the world and where you stand in the world. Like, you recognize you get context that you're part of a big world, and it helps you think more about your own big world. Like, you can be eating your pizza, but who am I? What do I really want from my life? What do I value? Well, I value my health, and it's being someplace where it's bigger. You get to look at yourself in a bigger context. And that reminds you, I do want to be healthy. So I'm going to make this one slice really count.
Yeah, and I think along those lines is that you remind yourself of these items, so the next time you go through this iteration. So I would say that my evolution with my relationship with pizza has changed. We're ordering a whole pizza and bringing it home and watching TV with it too. Okay, I'm going to go out to get this one, and then now they have a nice little arugula salad they sell, getting that and throwing on top of the pizza to add that into it. So yeah, I'm still having the indulgence of the processed pizza, but then adding on something to give it a little bit more of a healthier slant, because that's, again, like it's an evolution though. Like I said, it wasn't the first time I mean, like I said, this is my relationship with my pizza over time.
Right. And I think that you illustrate something really valuable in that what will work for you, and then how does it fit, in the context of your life, and how does it fit to be meaningful to you, so you can, that you maximize the meaning of it. You take the walk, you sit in a nice place, it's delicious pizza, you do the arugula on top, and then you walk back. So it's not just the pizza, but it's the whole context in which you're enjoying it, and how does it, that works for you, and it fits with things you care about.
Yeah, and I think that also doing that whole process, as we're talking about it through right now, that it makes it feel less. I feel less guilt and shame about having that, because there was so much more involved in it, and that appreciation. The people, that, like I said, they're the New York Mets fan, so just chatting with them, because at the cash register and having those interactions, that's all that human interaction is also part of it.
Yeah, absolutely. And you're noticing that you're like being your own detective to figure out what really works for you, what fits with you. I have a similar thing with dark chocolate, like 90%. And I weigh my chocolate. I get 10 grams every day. And I notice that if I take the whole 10 grams, which is about this big, I just like take a nibble, it's okay. But when I break it up into tiny pieces, really tiny pieces, like half-gram pieces, I get 20 grams, and I put in my little cup that I love so much, and I have this one little nibble. It's so much more satisfying. I feel a sense of control. I feel a sense of graciousness that I've provided for myself in a way that's very deliberate, very, I'll put this in big quotes, intentional, that I've cared about myself. That is a very different experience from just weighing out my 10 grams and, even taking it in my nice bowl, but just biting those pieces off. There's something very different about the experience. And I think that's being aware and creating those experiences of meaning, that where you're savoring, where you can be grateful. All of that stuff really contributes to having more deliberate, being in deliberate control about your eating, and allowing yourself to eat healthier in a healthier way, even if it is pizza and chocolate.
Right. So what works and what fits, that's really what we're looking at. And I love that we're doing having a healthy eating quest coming up, which is taking these same solution focused principles and applying them to eating. But I love how we had a whole healthy eating conversation and talked about pizza, ice cream, and dark chocolate. But that's real life.
That's life.
That's real life. That's real life. And, and how are we able to make it fit for us in a larger context of trying to still pursue the value of being healthy and eating healthy.
That is so great. Yep. I'd like
Well,
to invite people to our quest so you can learn all about pizza, ice cream, and chocolate, and celebrate it within the context of a really healthy, wholesome, yummy, fun eating plan.
well, that sounds like a fantastic place for us to wrap up. And if this was helpful, hit like or subscribe, because we talk about solution focused strategies to improve our health and well being and the overall longevity every week. And if you want to learn more about our unique solution focused approach and book a complimentary coaching session, visit staminalab.io. That's staminalab.io. And put any comments below. We love to answer those. Thank you, Dr. Teplow.
Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for listening. Until next time, remember, you are your own lab, you are your own experiment, and you are your own best coach. Be well.